as a realtor, as a real estate agent, stop thinking of yourself as a sales commission person. That is not who you are. You are running a real estate business and you are the CEO of your business.
Welcome back. I'm Toni Singh.
And I'm Jenny Woon.
We have a super special guest today, Miss Janet Miller.
Welcome, Janet.
Hi, Janet.
Hello. Nice to be here. I'm super excited to talk to you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. And I guess, you know what, we'll let you speak to the audience. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background in your history in real estate and kind of what you're working on now?
Sure, of course. Been in real estate since 2010, sold for 5 years on the west side of Vancouver. And then since that time, I transitioned into management roles and then eventually into coaching. So I still have my license, but I'm not boots on the ground. My whole role right now is to mentor, train, and coach agents across North America, everywhere from
Amazing.
New York City to Alaska to Halifax to Whitehorse, Vancouver, and all time zones in between.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about why that was the right decision for you. Why did you make that switch?
Mm-hmm.
So right before I got into coaching full time, I was in a management role where I was director of sales at a brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking after 125 agents, and it was a brokerage where there wasn't an established training and mentoring program. So I was always going online and researching, and I always ended up on the sites of these coaching companies. And then I just went to more events and more trainings, and I just thought, you know what, this really aligns with how I want to help agents grow and develop. And yeah, I just transitioned from that into coaching, and it's a challenge every day. I learn every day.
Amazing.
And it's really fun.
Well, your challenges would be so different than somebody that's actively selling real estate. Do you miss having your boots on the ground, or you're happy to leave that in the past?
I really like being behind the scenes and making others shine, and really like getting into their head and getting them to believe they can do it, working on them finding the path. Like, we'll work together to develop the path of how to get there. And it's, like I said, it's a challenge, and it's just fun. And it's just really, really rewarding.
Yeah, sharing in other people's success and helping them with that. You're currently a coach at Tom Ferry, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I love Tom Ferry. He's got such great programs for realtors.
What is it about his program that resonates with you?
I like that his programs are a little bit different than the traditional cold calling models. Like, I used to actually be in coaching with his dad, Mike Ferry, such a legend.
Yes,
and I find that Tom's methods are a little bit more current. And I like that he thinks outside of the box. I love that.
Right. Yeah. No, that's very much what it's all about. And it's always evolving. It's always being on the forefront of what the technology is or what the marketing trends are, and then just keeping up with the market changes and what buyers and sellers are thinking, and putting together your plan of action that aligns with that.
And Janet, do you specialize in a certain type of approach in coaching? Because obviously there's business coaches, life coaches, and in terms of business coaches, there's planning, how to go into leadership. So is there anything specific that you focus on?
Yeah, great question. So when I started out, it was everything from agents making their first 100,000 to agents making their next million. And where I've really started to focus on and excel is that agent who can do at least 24 deals a year, no problem, but they're either stuck or they're about to burn out, or they don't have balance in their life, or they just don't know how to get get past that 24, because it usually comes down to a couple of things that need to be solved. Either they don't have enough support, so they're doing it all, and they haven't hired their first assistant or their first agent on the team, so they need more support, or they need systems. Like I've worked with a lot of agents who are just energetic, very good at relationships, no problem getting the business, but they're just like running around like crazy all the time because they don't have the systems in place. And it's just, once we work on like getting things automated or getting checklists in place, it's like, oh, I can do this.
So much easier.
Because their strength is in relationships
Yeah.
and building that connection, but then their actual, like the admin part of it is lacking. And that's where that's their weak point. And I think also the pattern that I see as well is that they don't want to let go. So hiring someone means I got to pay somebody else. I got to train them.
Right.
I don't want to give up business and give up some of my money. So how would you say someone like that, and that 24 is that magic number?
Around 24 to 30, right? I've seen that a lot too.
Yeah.
I've experienced it too.
Well, there's an interesting pattern I see. A lot of times I hear agents say, I think I need an assistant. I think I need an assistant. And they start saying it over and over again. And so
they
that's,
don't do it right away.
and that's my cue to say, okay, if the perfect assistant showed up at your door today, would you be ready for them? And they all say, well, I need them, but no, I don't even have the time to train them. I don't even know what to tell them to do. So then it's like, okay, we better work on getting your operations manual together. So when they do show up at the door, you're like, hey, here's how we're going to do this, right? Like, here's what we need. Here's what the schedule is going to look like. Here's what I need you to learn. Here's what I need you to take care of. Because far too often what happens is they start to say, I think I need an assistant. I think I need an assistant. And it starts to be this snowball. And then 3 to 6 months later, they're like, I can't take it anymore. Like, I need an assistant. And then they knee-jerk hire somebody, and it might not always be the best person, or they might be a phenomenal person, but they're just not ready for them. And it just doesn't work
because
out.
the systems are not in place.
So that's something we work on a lot in coaching, is to build an operations manual.
Oh, I like that.
So what expectations or realistic goals should an agent have when they start working with you?
They should come to the table, like come to the Zoom call, whatever it is, with an open mind, and that they're here to learn. I never ask for perfection, but I always just ask for progress. Right? We start with where you're at. We'll look at the vision of where you want to get to, and just always be making progress. A lot of times coaching is similar to going on a health goal, like going on a fitness journey. You're at one weight, or you have this percentage of body fat, and it's not where you want to be. You can kind of see where you want to end up, but you're not really sure what the path is of how to get there. And so if you're willing to work on those habits and make those adjustments every single day, you're going to start to see the results.
Janet, we would love for you to inspire our listeners.
Okay.
Can you, and to do so, can you share a success story of a client that maybe you're currently working with or have worked with in the past?
Yeah. I was thinking about that. And success comes in a lot of forms, right? So for some people, I need to get the revenue going. I need to get the deals going, right? So that's success for them, going from not maybe barely doing one deal a month to 2 times, 3 times in that. So that's one. Another kind of success would be, I never see my kids. I never see my family. My health is out of control. I need balance. So that's another type of success path. And then the third one can be about finances. Like, they have no trouble making the gross commission, but they just have they have no system in place to track and measure expenses. So they're not profitable. right? So those are usually like the three types of success stories. And there's so many great stories I could share with you. The one that just really makes me smile the most is the story of someone who came into my schedule probably about a year and a half ago, and we're actually still working together. And at the time when he came into my schedule, he had a ton of debt. He had some very unhealthy uh, drinking, eating, substance habits, let's say, like just not a healthy lifestyle. He was alone, was not in a relationship at all. He had, a ton of debt, was doing deals, but just didn't have a predictable pattern. And so within a year and a half, he tripled his gross commission. Okay, so that's awesome. But the other part of the story that I love the most is when we were writing his 2020 when we were writing his 2021 business plan, he wrote, "I want to meet the woman of my dreams."
Oh.
Right? I want to meet the woman of my dreams, right? In addition to the like all the other stuff that goes into my business plan. February 2021, he gets on a call and he's like, "I'm going to propose to her." Like, so he met her.
Oh, wow.
He proposed to her, and then they just got married. And all the substances are out of his life. Like, all aspects of his life have turned around. So
okay, this is a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
it just makes me it's just so good on so many levels, because it's not just about the money.
That's right.
It's about the life that you get to live, and it's really about health, wealth, and happiness. So that's probably my favorite
Love
story.
it.
Topics that we are always covering.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some takeaways for our listeners, because you obviously are under the training of Tom Ferry, which I feel like I listen to a lot of his podcasts and YouTube videos, and I get so much out of it. So what's one piece of advice for agents who just started in the business? What is one thing that you feel they need to have or need to know?
Absolutely. And this is something we don't get taught in real estate school.
No.
Right?
No. One of our best episodes is, what does the real estate course, or what does the
real estate course
does not teach you?
Teach you or tell you.
We had a fantastic episode, and there's this, and even just having systems in place and when to get an assistant. That's nothing, like that topic is never not covered in our education. So yeah, what's one advice?
So I'm going to give you two. Okay. I have to give you two.
Okay.
So number one is, as a realtor, as a real estate agent, stop thinking of yourself as a sales commission person. That is not who you are. You are running a real estate business, and you are the CEO of your business.
Great advice.
And in addition to being the CEO, you actually wear 6 hats, right? So you are the CEO, you're the VP of finance, VP of sales, VP of marketing, VP of operations, and VP of people. And so when you start out in the business, you're going to be wearing all 6 hats. And so you always have to be thinking about, how am I managing my finances? How am I running my business? Like, what are the operations? What does my marketing look like? And then you're wearing all 6 hats at first, but then over time, what your goal is to hire people, to get support, to get the systems in place, so you're left with wearing one hat, which is CEO.
It can be overwhelming for somebody new.
Good advice.
Very good advice.
But if from the start you have the mindset that you are running a business, you will be on a path to success. So, and definitely that is not taught in real estate school. So that's number one. And then number two is build your schedule. Build your schedule, build your schedule, because you can get up in the morning and think, I have nothing to do. I don't have any listings. I don't have any buyers that want to buy. I have nothing to do. It's a nice day.
You can get easily distracted.
It's a nice day. I'm going to go for a walk on the seawall, right? It's like, no, if you build your schedule, and this is one of the first things that we work on, is What time, like set your office hours. What time are you starting your day? What time are you
Mhm.
stopping your day? What time are you getting
Mhm.
your butt out of bed in the morning? What's your morning routine?
Mm-hmm.
When are you spending time to studying the MLS? When are you spending time to reach out to your database and meet new people? Like having a very structured approach, you're treating it like a business. And then when you
Mhm.
have that structure and you focus on the relationships, then the business comes.
And I think one of the biggest surprises to a lot of people is that you're doing this alone, but you don't have to do it alone. You can move yourself towards selecting a brokerage that will provide like a university style,
Yeah.
or maybe even colleagues that are starting around the same time as you.
No, that's a really good point, because this business can be really lonely. And something that I get asked a lot is, especially with new agents, is how do I pick a brokerage? Like which one should I go
Mhm.
to? And there's
Mhm.
pros and cons to everyone, and even within a brand, there can be 5-star offices and, 1 or 2
Yeah.
star offices. But number one is always, always, always look for culture. Is the
Yeah.
leadership and the people at that brokerage, do they make you a better version of yourself? Do they
Of
inspire
course.
you
Yeah.
and motivate you to be better? What's the training like at
Yeah.
the brokerage? Like you said, like that university environment, so you're always on a growth
Mhm.
path. And then what's the
Mhm.
support that they give you in terms of keeping you out of real estate jail, and also just facilitating the transaction? Like what technologies do they have in place? How are they helping you run your business? And that can happen at any brand, but by far number one is you look for culture.
And so, playing off of your second point about having a schedule, what are the top 3 hacks someone should use to increase productivity?
Yeah. uh, Definitely, like owning your morning. Be
Yeah.
totally in
Yeah.
control of what happens from like 6 a.m. till noon. And a
Hmm.
productivity hack is, like set those time blocks of when you're doing those tasks.
Hmm.
Reach out to people. Be proactive in reaching out to people. And you don't have to say, "Hey, are you thinking of selling? Are you thinking of buying?" Just check in with people. Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
find
Yeah.
out, how they're doing. And oh my gosh, I'm so
Hmm.
glad you called. I've been meaning to call you. Right? So that's
Hmm.
a definite productivity hack. And then the other productivity hack is be okay to say no or not now, because
Okay.
we're really good at honoring appointments with other people, with our clients, other people that need us, but we're not as good as sticking to the appointments that we have in our calendar with ourselves. So often the
Yeah.
conversation
Right.
I'll have with agents is, hey, how did it go with, devoting that time to reaching out to your database and new people and everything? Oh, well, yeah, I had planned to, but then this buyer called and they wanted to see a property, and but you had that appointment with yourself. Oh, well, I know.
Boundaries.
Boundaries. So be okay with saying to a client, hey, I'm booked in meetings until 11, but I could definitely meet you
Hmm.
12:30 or later. Would that work for you?
Right.
There's going to be a
Right.
small percentage of the time that it doesn't, but always start with that, and
Hmm.
see where you go, because otherwise you're never going to get done what you need to get done for yourself. And then another productivity hack is build CEO time into your calendar, right? Because there's working in the business,
Work on
and
the
then there's working
business.
on the business. And
Yes.
our days can be really crazy, and we can get to the end of the day and we can be like, oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I didn't do
Yeah.
that. So I've got the agents that I'm working with, is they've got CEO time in their calendar. And for a lot of people, it's like a Wednesday morning, because they know that for them it's like kind of the quietest day of the week, and that's their day to work on their projects, right? To develop their marketing strategy, or to launch their podcast, or to, whatever it is that's part of their business plan that's going to get them into growth
Yeah.
mode.
I think we should connect you with the someone who's working on the programs at the real estate board, because these are such great topics and much
Yes.
needed to touch on for agents who just start in the business.
And who want to create something really special, right?
Well, just to be long-term in the business.
But it benefits the real estate board directly
Right.
because it's, creating professionals, CEOs, right? So I'm sure they would be interested in that for sure.
Yeah. What are your top favorite like software apps or software systems or programs that every agent should incorporate into their business to be systematic?
Let me look at my phone and remind myself of what my favorite ones are. Well, this may sound obvious, but a calendar, like having a calendar on your phone. Don't keep your calendar in your head. Don't rely on a paper calendar. Some people like to sketch it out, but have some, like Google Calendar is great. Have some kind of electronic calendar so that you're getting your reminders of when you need to do things. Simple, but it's true.
And it's easy to share too. I have probably 7 different shared calendars with my group, with my team members.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you want to have some kind of cloud storage like Google Drive or Dropbox. It's amazing that you still talk to people who say, oh yeah, I've got all my files on my desktop. No, like have a cloud-based system to store your documents. Part of being a good leader in your business is you always want to be in growth mode, right? So you always want to be listening and learning and reading. And so, there's obviously Audible and different podcast apps. One of my new favorite, it's not new, but it's new to me, is Blinkist, Blinkist. And it just gives you like 15 to 18 minute summaries of great business books. And so that way you can remind yourself of the key points in a book that you read before, or it's a good little, good little snippet into books that you want to do a deep dive and listen to it a
Janet,
later
you
date.
make a really good point because I'm downloading all my books on Audible and I'm listening it as I drive. However, I'm only able to pay attention to maybe a couple of seconds of it during my drive.
Points. Yeah.
Because I'm just swerving in and out of traffic and I get incoming calls and interrupting my Audible.
Well, and the great thing about Blinkist is not only does it give you an audio summary, it also gives you a written summary.
Yeah.
So it'll say, hey, here's the key 10 takeaways from this book. And then you've got it.
Thanks for your tips.
Yeah, and then the other thing, obviously, that people need is some kind of scheduler app or something that organizes your social media, right? Obviously, Later is very, very popular. That's probably the most popular one. Sched Social is a good one because it also ties in Google My Business. But just again, these are all things that make you do things, make you remember things. It keeps you organized. And I would say the last software piece that you need is you need something for project management and organization. Like there's Asana, Monday, Trello. Those seems to be I personally use Trello, but they all have strengths.
Well, I know that journaling is so important and being able to write things down and using your calendar. And you are the creator of No Matter What Journal. So why don't you tell us what this journal is all about and how it's different from the other journals that you can buy online or buy at Chapters?
Of course, thanks. And I'll give you a little bit of a background of why I created it, which was November. I work with all my coaching clients to develop business plans, and everybody's fired up. Right? Everybody's like, 2022, best year ever. Here's all the things I'm going to do. Everybody's fired up. Everybody has a vision. We usually have a little mini break for the holidays, and then we come back in January, and again, this is it. Like, this is the year. I know what I want. And then literally we get to the third week of January and there's this big fork in the road. And you've got people who just like keep on the path and keep crushing it and meet or exceed their goals. And then you've got these other people that are like, oh, sorry, what? I don't know. Oh, and they just kind of react to whatever's thrown at them. And they either like stay where they are, or sometimes they take a step backwards. And so I found that the reason, if you look at the people who took the path and just kept, meeting or exceeding their goals, there was a very, 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 very common pattern, which was they wrote down their goals, they read their goals regularly, like daily, weekly, monthly, and then they built an action plan of the habits and the disciplines they needed to have every day, like the things they needed to do every day, no matter what, to get to those goals.
Okay.
And so I put this journal together as a vehicle to help people with that journey, right? So what's different about it is that it gives a space for people to write the big picture, the vision of where they want to go, right? So they can go back and read it and reread it. And then there's a space where they can write a quarterly plan, because we know we need to break down our big plan into like 90-day cycles. And then there's an exercise you go through that you figure out, okay, based on where I want to be in 90 days, what do I need to do every day, no matter what, to make that happen? So you come up with your no matter what's. Because what I need to do every day, no matter what, could be different than what either of you need to do every day, no matter what. But we still have things we need to do no matter what. So it's just sticking to that. And then,
that makes sense.
So that's the uniqueness. And then there's daily prompts, and then there's space to write a weekly plan. So in the daily prompts, it has things that you see in other journals as well, which is a space for gratitude, reminding yourself of, who you need to connect with, doing a debrief on your day, doing a brain dump.
So I know journaling and writing things down takes a lot of capacity for some people. And sometimes they go a bit like empty and don't know what to write. So for the listeners, I just checked out your website. There is a printable section where if you wanted just a slight taste of what that no matter what journal looks like, there's a vision board kit and a daily page that they can try. There's no obligations. They can just download it from your website.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. And just get it. Journaling can be like flossing your teeth. I don't know about you, but you go to the dentist and they're like, have you flossed? You're like, oh, well, and then you leave the dentist and you think, okay, I'm going to do it. And then you do it for a week and then you kind of fall off. But then once you get in the habit of doing it, you're like, okay, I get it. I get why I'm supposed to be doing this all the time. It's a similar path with journaling. Once you get into the rhythm of practicing your gratitudes, like writing out your gratitudes every morning, reading your goals, reading like why you're doing this, it just clears your, like if you look up like the benefits of journaling, it's crazy the amount of studies that show not only the mental health benefits, but the physical health benefits. Once you get into it, you just realize how helpful it is. And the other outcome that happens from it, especially when you start to do the gratitudes, is you have the same, I don't know if I'm allowed to say crap on this podcast, but you have the same crap thrown at you, because that's just, what happens in life. But your ability to deal with it, you're just much more calm, right? It just doesn't get to you as much. And you just focus on the solutions, and you're not as frazzled. So it just has this like very calming effect.
So within the book or the journal, is it good for the entire year, like for 365 days, or do you have to order after a certain number of set weeks?
Yeah, so it's designed for the quarter, right? It's designed so you do it, January, April, July, October, but honestly, you can start at any time.
Anytime.
But it's good for a 90-day cycle.
Yeah. So buy your order, make your order in bulk, because I do see discount codes as you buy more. And honestly, as a team leader, I would buy in bulk and
Yeah.
just offer it to my team members on the team.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
think so too.
That's a great idea. I have had team members use it for like when they do like retreats, or they're doing planning sessions, and it's just a good way to get other people to share their goals. There was a really interesting study done, about 5-6 years ago on goal setting. It was a study done at one of the universities in California, and it looked at 300 people in an office environment, in a work environment. And what the scientist said, she said, okay, I'm dividing you guys into 5 groups. And the first group, she said, I want you to just think about a goal. And then the second group, she said, I want you to think that goal, like write it down. And then the third group, she said, okay, you wrote it down. Now I also want you to tell me like what the action steps are to that. Then the fourth group, she said, okay, everything you've done, I want you to share it with a friend. And then the fifth group, she said, in addition to sharing it with a friend, I also want you to check in with somebody weekly and share with them the progress you're making on your goals. And at the end of the study, it was something like the people in the first group who just thought about their goal, it was around maybe 25% who had reached that goal or were on pace to reach it. Whereas the people that did the action plan and the sharing and the accountability, it was close to 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just comes back to the fact that whatever goals you set, the plan is you write them down, right? You have them up and visible, you reread it, you create the steps, you follow the steps, and then you build in some accountability. And you can hit whatever goal you want.
So how is your coaching program structured? Like, do you typically work one-on-one, and how long does that look like? Or do you prefer working with groups?
Yeah. So within Tom Ferry coaching, what it is agents sign up for a year, but honestly, for most, it becomes just a lifelong commitment, because just the growth that they see, and then the mastermind groups that evolve. And so it's weekly calls. There is like an introductory program where they can have calls twice a month. But then what they eventually evolve into is having calls 4 times a month, and it's one-on-one, and you really get to know the numbers of your business. You really get to understand what your schedule needs to be. You really get to understand the systems and the technology you need. And, we set quarterly plans and annual plans. And then there's also some group calls, and there's like mastermind groups. And I think that like the mastermind groups are the things that are so powerful, because, for example, if you decide you need a new CRM, right? And there's like 20 or 30 to choose from, and your head is just spinning, and you're like, okay, which one do I pick? How do I know which one to pick? You've got a group of extraordinary agents who you can go what have you tried and why do you like it? And then all of a sudden your choices are funneled down from 30 different choices down to, hey, I'm going to look at these 3 because I'm hearing this feedback from people who are actually using it.
Sounds really good. Sounds like a really good program. We want to be respectful of your time, Janet. I know you have another coaching call to get on, but our last 5 minutes, are you able to answer 5 rapid fire questions for us?
Okay.
Just to, kind of fun and not related to
Unscripted.
Unscripted. What's the last book you downloaded on Blinkist?
The last book I downloaded was, can I take a look here? It was probably Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy, which is awesome, because we all get caught up on like doing this stuff, but it's really about finding out who can help us. So Who Not How from Benjamin Hardy.
Okay.
What's your favorite movie?
Elf.
Yeah. It's a good movie. That's
Yeah.
my favorite Christmas one.
Will Ferrell, Elf, it never gets old. Love it.
What's your mantra of the year?
No matter what.
What
Makes
is
sense.
your ritual that you practice on a daily basis?
Journaling.
I knew you were going to say
And
that.
also, so my daughter lives in Toronto now, and we FaceTime each other every morning. And I say my affirmations to her every morning, and just kind of, that's a little like rah in the morning to start the day.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Creative, committed, and giving.
I have one more question. Can I add a 6th one?
Yeah.
Because I just want to try to transition into coaching as well. What is one thing that you miss about doing transactions, real estate transactions?
The high you get when you make the phone call to say, I've got great news, they accepted our offer, or I've got great news, you're now sold. Like, just getting them off the emotional roller coaster and being able to make the phone call to say, high five, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess in a way you are high-fiving your whoever you're
Salespeople.
coaching, because you're listening to their story, closing the deal.
100%. And I say to them, do not, like, I'm your biggest cheerleader. You do not have to wait till our next call to tell me. Like, when you've got great news, you send me a text. I want to know. So I get these texts all the time, which is awesome. We got it. I got the listing. Oh my gosh, I did this. I did that. So yeah, it's great. It's really great.
Before you hop on your other call, where can our listeners find you, and how can they sign up?
Sure. So honestly, the easiest way to connect with me is on Instagram. I'm at janetmiller.coach. I also love when you follow our journal, which is at No Matter What Journal. We give like inspirational quotes and just little tips for goal setting and things like that. Those are the 2 easiest ways to connect with me, start a conversation. And I always love meeting new people and hearing about your challenges and your business.
Can they order online? Or you can order online, no matter what journal.com is the website that I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Janet. This was a pleasure, and I'm sure our listeners appreciate all the tips that you've given today.
Great. It was fun.
Nice to see you again, Janet.
Thanks, Janet.